Hello everyone. We usually update the exotic armor tier list once a year, and that's something I'll probably do again this year, but we've never done an exotic weapon tier list until today. The first ever exotic weapon tier list is here. So let's break down the criteria. I've split all of the guns into kinetic, energy, and power weapon groups just to make it a little bit easier to process all of the weapons. The main thing that I use to judge all of these weapons is how long it takes me to crop the weapons out of a screenshot using Photoshop. As you might know, I've used the same template for exotic weapon videos since the beginning of the franchise, and I crop out all of the weapons manually with the pen tool. And you might ask, why not use the magic wand tool? Isn't that much faster? And yes, it is, but it does a much worse job with jagged edges and occasionally clipping into parts of the gun. I like a nice smooth stroke around the border of the weapon, and if I use the magic wand tool, it just doesn't look as nice. If there is a better way of doing this to get the same results as manually cropping out the weapons with the pen tool, please do not tell me, because I don't think my heart will be able to take it. I've been doing it this way for 8 years now. I cropped all of the images out in the same day, doing the exact same technique for every gun. I watched various YouTube videos during the process, and while I paid attention about 90 to 95% of the time, sometimes something funny happened and I wanted to watch the video instead. Videos watched were created by Red Letter Media, Secret Base, Gotham Chess, Funhouse, Drew Gooden, and Linus Tech Tips. I also listened to music when I wanted to change things up or re-energize myself. On rarer occasion, my wife Danielle would ask me to come to her office to look at something, or she would come into my office to talk to me about travel plans. This was done to simulate how I normally work and give real-world application to the use of these weapons, as opposed to simulating a perfect world where I don't interrupt myself while I'm working, as that basically never happens in normal gameplay. We're going to start with the worst kinetic weapons. I'm not really going to be focused too much on the mid-tier stuff. I know what you all are here to see. The worst kinetic slot weapon, by far, is Agger's Scepter. An excruciating amount of detail went into this weapon, but more specifically, the amount of really small bumps that aren't easy to gloss over. I can't just wing it here. I need to tag every single one individually. Also, because it's a trace rifle, I have to do a double barrel rotoscope, so I'm like doubling or tripling my work here. That technically goes for all the trace rifles, but most of the other trace rifles are very smooth and have long straight lines that don't really require that much extra work. Not only that, but this weapon is extra cursed because during my session, I accidentally hit a button that caused me to delete the inverse of what I had selected. That took me a few minutes to figure out, which I technically didn't figure out until after I was finished, making the crop time 21 minutes. What did I just do? What button did I hit? And if we include solving the issue, it's more like 25 minutes after some Googling. I don't think that solves what I want. Oh my god, it does. That is so far ahead of anything else in the game that it's not even funny. This gun is absolute garbage. Don't use it. Don't put it on. I don't recommend it. Behind Agger's Scepter was Arbalest, thanks to all of the space in between the gun making it feel like I had to crop the same gun twice. While this did come in at a hefty 14 minutes, the 5-minute Dorito break that I took was ultimately the main factor behind this lengthy duration. However, these things happen in real-world application. Not every instance where you're using Arbalest is going to be perfect. Sometimes you are going to be eating Doritos. If we choose to simulate the Dorito break out, then Wish Ender is the second worst, coming in at around 13 minutes flat, although there were some distractions, so simulated it's more like maybe around 11 or 12 minutes. Exotic bows in general have their issues, and while Wish Ender looks less egregious than others that we'll cover, it's, again, all of the empty space being the main factor, combined with intricate designs. Wish Ender isn't even that intricate, and it still took 13 minutes. Again, trash weapon, avoid. Bad Juju was another one that took me a little while, and I think that's because of all the hair on the skull of the gun. I feel like a lot of people forgot about that quality of life change that Bungie dropped back in Shadowkeep, like right after Bad Juju launched in Season 7, that enabled you to just remove the hair. I am terrible at cropping out hair. I don't know a single person who's good at it. It's everywhere, and if it's not super high res, it's just a nightmare to get rid of. The best kinetic weapons are Chaperone, Traveler's Chosen, a sidearm, one of my favorites, you all know me, and Jade Rabbit, again, another favorite. Chaperone is a shotgun, but it basically has the size of a sidearm. That's something that has definitely changed in most recent weapon models. They are absolutely massive, as we'll see. The older guns don't have these super giant models nearly as often as the newer ones. Not only that, but Chaperone might as well just be a metal tube. It gets a little interesting towards the end of the crop, but nothing that the average player couldn't handle. Traveler's Chosen gets all of its benefits from being a sidearm, and it's a small gun, doesn't have that much intricacy, the curves and bends in the gun are easy to manage, nothing not to love here, and it's basically the same tale with Jade Rabbit. Small gun, it's all angles, either 45 or 90 degrees, which means I don't need to fuss that much with the pen tool at all to do the curves or line anything up. I can just kind of click away, go, go, go. Absolutely recommend these in your arsenal, especially this season, Jade Rabbit anti-barrier scout rifles. The rest of the list is pretty much as expected. I think we all kind of know what's up at this point with the Hordes in the dumpster, just barely missing out on being one of the worst guns, but it's really close. Hawkmoon almost joining the 3-minute club up there in the A tier. Deceptively simple to crop. It has some curves, but you can really just fly right through them. Moving to energy weapons. The worst weapon was a 3-way tie for all of the exotic bows. Tiku's, Trinity Ghoul, the Monarch. Monarch took me over 15 minutes. Ghoul was just under 11. Way more detail than Wish Ender, and that took a very long time to do. However, this isn't really new information. We all know that exotic bows are garbage, but you don't really get to see how bad they actually are until you sit down and give it a closer look. I mean, it's unreal how bad they are. Here's what's really wild. Tiku's came in at just over 7 minutes, which actually beats out other guns, but I'm still putting it in the garbage just by affiliation. Like, just because it's an exotic bow and the other exotic bows are garbage, I'm also putting this in the garbage. Get this out of my face. Outside of that, nothing was really aggressively bad. Borealis and Symmetry float in the 8-minute range. Those are technically in the next worst tier, but they didn't feel that bad, even if they were. Symmetry was going fine, but then my dog Brimstone was getting whiny about something, probably because he wanted food, even though he already had dinner. So he just kind of plopped on the gun as I was cropping it and I had to go around him. That added a bunch of time to this. You know, simulated, this is probably going to be a bit of a better gun, but I only get 1 shot per year. So, you know, I'm sure Fallout has a more accurate data point if you want to go watch his video. The absolute best of the best in this slot is Yotun, and it's not close. Coming in at under 2 minutes. This thing is literally just a square with a place for your hand. That's it. And again, it's a small weapon. It's not this giant thing that takes up your entire screen. That really speeds things up, and that really pushes this weapon into the stratosphere in terms of quality. If you can't equip Chaperone or something, this should be on. I mean, it should probably take priority over Chaperone anyway. It's like S++ tier. Sunshot puts up a fight as well, coming in at 247. Not close to Yotun, but still well into the A tier. Probably S tier, considering it matches up with some kinetics in that range. Love these sharp angles. Even the way the light bounces off of this weapon is amazing. Ton of ornaments to use. The color is great. Like, what else do you want, you know? Unfortunately for power weapons, I had a bit of trouble getting all of the data. I was only able to test about half the weapons, the worst of which was Whisper of the Worm. Look at all these dumb little spikes on the gun. Look at them. This is asinine. This is absolutely asinine. Total waste of time. This thing is trash. Dismantle it, put it away, pretend you don't even own it. On the opposite side of the spectrum, we have the second best gun in the entire game in Legend of Acreus. This gun manages to be imposing while not having a gigantic weapon model, something I found very refreshing compared to today's norm. At least Bungie did something right with Activision around back in Destiny 2 launch. Very sleek, it knows what it wants to be, and it doesn't waste any space otherwise. No frills, no cloths or gems or other textures, just a giant Minecraft block of a weapon that murders everything in a 10-foot cone in front of it. Bravo. Nothing else really impressed me that much, maybe minus Two-Tailed Fox. Two-Tailed Fox actually did much better than I thought it was going to, considering its size. It clocked in at 4 minutes 30 seconds, which for the power slot puts it pretty squarely into the A tier, maybe knocking on S tier's door. But after I got to Thunderlord, my computer just kind of started freaking out, and I couldn't really get anything else done. Dude, I can't. Like, that one's fine. F you. Literally F you. That's fine. Literally F you, but not as bad as the other bows, probably. That's fine. That's fine. No. Absolutely not. There you go. It's cropped. I cropped it. There it is. That's fine. That's okay. That feels like it's fine, but then I'll start doing it, and then it'll be a big pain in the ass. End of video.